Good morning, church. It's so good to be with you again this morning as we continue our Take 5, as we are so close to wrapping up the Sermon on the Mount. But before we get to that, I wanted to share a couple of things from my heart. First of all, I want to encourage you to take a listen to Jason's sermon yesterday in our long story short series. He preaches on Jesus and does an amazing job, and I know that will really bless you. Secondly, we have had just the most incredible summer at Georgianna that began with youth camp and just kind of went from there into VBS and backyard missions and helping our students get ready to go back to school and blessing faculties in our community with back to school lunches. It has been a crazy busy summer. We're super grateful to our 3 interns, Ridge, Elizabeth, and Trinity, who helped us have a great summer. So just a couple of shout outs as we start our day. So let's get right to it this morning. Again, if you were with us last week, you know that Jesus is in the last bit here, and he really is trying to apply some wisdom for our life, some warnings, if you will, about life. And so in chapter 7, beginning in verse 13, Jesus makes a simple statement. It says, "Enter through the narrow gate, for wide is the gate and broad is the road that leads to destruction, and many enter through it. But small is the gate and narrow the road that leads to life, and only a few find it." So this seems like really simple instructions, and you're probably right now wondering, how is Corky even going to get 5 minutes out of this? Well, let me just share with you that this is the contrasting view that we find in Scripture, the duality, if you will, between life and death, light and darkness, and choices. This is all about choices. And so each of us is confronted every day with a series of choices. Many is 1,000 choices in a day. And each choice is directional. This is Jesus's point here, is that all our choices are directional. It either takes you down a road that leads to death, or it takes you down a road that leads to life. Well, I want to share with you that the narrow road is not narrow because it's hard. Although we could make some arguments that it's difficult, living obediently to Christ is difficult, following the ways of God is difficult, trusting God's will is difficult. We could make a number of arguments about why we think the road is narrow. But the truth of the matter is the road is narrow because not many people walk on it. It's a narrow path. It's not crowded, the road that leads to life. But that road that leads to destruction, Jesus talks, is as wide as it can get. And many, many, many people find themselves in it. So one of the challenges I think there is for us as Christians is this concept of what I would call a comparison trap or a popularity trap. You know, I think oftentimes what dies on the altar of popularity for a Christian, it's generally our integrity. And so you know how this goes, that you want to be liked, you want people to want you to be in their group. I mean, you want to be wanted and all of those things. And the lure of popularity is really a trap that can lead you down a road where you sacrifice your integrity, you sacrifice your core values, you sacrifice what you believe in order to belong, right? So it's one of the reasons that we said Georgianna for years, from the first year that I was at Georgianna, we said this is a place to belong, a place to become, because we know everybody needs a place to belong. Right? We know that the trap of the wide road exists for everybody to want to be included, to not be left out of things. But we want you to understand that the church is a place that you can belong. It's a narrow road for sure, but it's a place for you. And it's also a place that you become. You see, when you become clear about who you are, then walking the narrow road is never hard. I used to tell my boys when they were growing up, and I think they still believe this today, in how they live their life and what they practice. I used to tell them all the time, do the right thing. Do the right thing always. Do the right thing even when it's not the popular thing. And if we could have that kind of integrity in our lives, this world would be a far better place. But we don't live in a world necessarily that does the right thing. So it's a challenge for us to stand out or stand against those kind of evil moments, dark moments, challenging moments, to do the right thing. And you're just going to find that the road's not crowded when you do that. So don't succumb to the popularity trap. God loves you. God has given you a family called the church. Do you need more than that? And if you think you need more than that, why is that? Let me close with this analogy. I've known somebody for many, many years that, bless their heart, they just fall into that popularity trap all the time. And I watched them make strides towards walking with Christ. And then you watch them deviate because they want to be included. They don't want to miss out. They want to be needed and wanted. And then they find themselves drifting back because ultimately that wide road is never satisfying. It's just not, right? You can get lost in the crowd you thought you could not live without. You can get lost in. So, church, my encouragement today is the encouragement of Jesus. Find the narrow road. Begin to walk it. You'll never regret it. I love you. Can't wait to be with you again next week with more strong teaching from Jesus coming. Have a great day.